So good afternoon and welcome to the Health and Government Operations Committee. This is voting list number 8. Today is Thursday, March the 6th, and we're going to vote, and then afterwards we'll come back again for bill hearings. We do have bill hearings on Monday at 11 a.m., and we're going to get started. House Bill 1454, and just a reminder for those of you that are watching at home, all these bills have been vetted fully in subcommittee. All right, and everyone that is for it or against it has come, and we have worked these bills. So if we go fast today, does not mean we don't care. We know them, we have worked them. House Bill 1454.
Move to withdraw.
Second.
Beautiful. It's been moved in second. Any concerns or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, let's move to House Bill 448, Delegate Kipke, Modernization of Military Laws Act. It came out of subcommittee, favorable with amendment, and we have Lindsay and Kerr. Lindsay.
This bill generally establishes uniform definitions related to the military and the election law, general provisions, public utilities, and state government articles, primarily by reference to definitions in the U.S. Code. While numerous alterations in the bill represent only stylistic or technical changes, there are substantive changes. Notably, the bill expands eligibility for burial in a state veteran cemetery and the use of mail to file for candidacy in election, and expands access to certain housing and employment privileges and protections. The amendments that begin on page 1 in your packet are identical to those that passed on the Senate cross-file, passed the Senate unanimously. The amendments include provisions from the Burial Equity Act, allowing members of the National Guard and Reserves to be buried in state veteran cemeteries, and restores honorable discharge qualifications in several articles of code, reserves benefits to the Public Health Service and NOAA, and makes further clarifications and reversions to existing law.
Move the amendments.
Second.
The amendments have been moved in second. Any question or discussion on the amendments? Seeing none on the amendment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition to the amendments? Seeing none on the bill as amended.
Move the bill.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion or question on the bill as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Who does not want to be on the bill? Raise your hand. All right, let's move on to House Bill 466, Delegate Kipke, Health Equity for Service Member Act. It came out of subcommittee, favorable with amendment. Lindsay and Kerr. Lindsay.
This bill generally establishes uniform definitions related to the military and the general provisions, health occupations, housing and community development, and state government articles, again, primarily by reference to definitions in the U.S. Code. While numerous alterations within the bill represent stylistic or technical changes, there are substantive changes. The bill generally makes certain provisions applicable to all members of the uniformed services, thereby expanding eligibility for certain privileges and benefits, notably expedited health occupation licensing, fee exemptions for vital records, and continued eligibility for certain waiver programs. The amendments on page 8 in your packet were adopted in the Government Operations Subcommittee that make additional changes to align the definitions and terminology in the bill with provisions in the Nurse Practice Act, retains the definition of veteran under the general provisions article as it applies to the application of any state program of benefits, rights, or privileges, thereby retaining NOAA and the Public Health Service, makes clarifying changes to the definition of healthcare facility as it relates to health planning and development, and removes from the bill changes to a provision governing renewal of a license issued by the Board of Morticians and Funeral Directors. So there's no change to that provision via the bill.
Delegate Rosenberg.
No.
No, Kerr.
Who is it? Delegate Kerr? Okay.
Move the amendment.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. All right, so the amendments have been moved in second. Any question or discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none on the bill?
Second.
It's been moved in second as amended. Any discussion or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Oh, who has a Bagnell?
Just one question, comment. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the sponsor for amending in uniform services, because I know that we've had an advocate who's been very concerned about that over a number of years.
Okay, thank you. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, who does not want to be on the bill? All right, let's move on to House Bill 602, Delegate Hutchinson. Oh, did I miss 573? Oh, Kipke. All right, State Board of Dental Examiners. Expanded function dental assistant education and reinstatement. This is House Bill 573. It came out favorable with amendment. Lindsay and Rosenberg. Lindsay.
As introduced, this bill requires the State Board of Dental Examiners to reinstate an expanded function dental assistant certificate that has expired only if the holder has completed the continuing education requirements set by the board, has submitted a renewal application before the deadline set by the board, and pays a renewal fee. The bill expands the authorized courses of study an applicant may complete to qualify for a certification. The board must adopt regulations requiring continuing education for expanded function dental assistants to include an option for an online course of study and be offered by dental professional societies affiliated with national dental organizations and specified entities. The bill also specified that a course of study for initial certification must include, when appropriate, an option for an online course of study. The amendments on page 11 in your packet adopted in Health Occupation Subcommittee specify that the course for the initial certification of an expanded function dental assistant must include, rather than an option for an online course of study, at least 35 hours of instruction consisting of both online and in-person instruction. Requires the board to adopt regulations specifying the required number of hours for in-person instruction, online instruction, and clinical hands-on training. Removes from the bill a requirement that the board regulations on continuing education for expanded function dental assistants include an option for an online course of study, and requires the regulations to specify clinical hands-on training, and then that be offered by state-based dental professional societies.
Rosenberg.
With the amendments, it was unanimous, so I would move the amendments.
So the amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none? All those in favor, did you say something?
There are no amendments, I just thought it was favorable.
They should be on page 11 in your packet.
Okay, sorry about that, yes, aye.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the bill passes. Oh, no, with the amendments, see, that's what happens. Okay, on the amendments, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none. On the bill as amended? Second. It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? All right, all those in favor say aye on the bill as amended. Aye. Any opposition? All right, who does not want to be on the bill? Raise your hand. Okay, let's move on to House Bill 662. 602. Why did I say 662? Okay, 662. 602. All right, House Bill 602, State Board of Nursing, Advanced Practice Nursing. All right, and it came out favorable. And it's Lindsay and Rosenberg, House Bill 602. Lindsay.
This bill requires the State Board of Nursing to hold discussions with the state nursing licensing boards for Delaware, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, and the District of Columbia to pursue reciprocity agreements for advanced practice nursing licensure and specialty certification by November 1st, 2025, and each November 1st thereafter. For the next 4 years, the board must submit a report regarding those discussions.
Okay. Rosenberg.
It was unanimous.
Is there a motion?
So move the bill. There were no
It's been
amendments. so
moved and second.
Move the bill.
Any question or discussion on the bill? Delegate Hill.
Question, yeah.
Yes.
So obviously, the Board of Nursing was still opposed, and I didn't know if there was discussion at all about, they had used the word prioritize the reciprocity, and I didn't know whether there was discussion about changing that shall explore to initiate discussion, as opposed, I don't know what prioritize means, as opposed to exploring and initiate discussion with other states.
Well, prioritize gives greater weight to it.
Right, and that's, so that was the, it's like, we're not going to just tell you to do it, it has to be your number, your highest priority. Okay?
And then that would be part of our evaluation of whatever action they do take and bring back to us next year.
Okay. And I would just offer to the committee to consider as an amendment, and this is not in conversation with anyone, just so we're clear, because I haven't spoken to the Board of Nursing, that since we're telling them to take it, right, we're giving it to them, that we consider taking the word prioritize and changing it to, quote, shall explore and initiate discussion with neighboring jurisdictions about the interest in and feasibility of establishing APN licensed reciprocity agreements. It might swallow easier, but that's it.
Let me ask the sponsor of the bill, who's been having a lot of conversations with the board. The sponsor,
did.
Delegate Hutchinson.
So in the Senate hearing, they did come out in opposition, but after a conversation with them, they dropped the opposition, came back with just a letter of concern, and we do want to keep the prioritization in there to make sure that they know that this is a priority and they have to respond.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for raising it. This is the place, and, okay? So, any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, let's move on to 662, Procurement Master Contracting Authorization. I will get one of them right. Favorable with amendment, Lindsay and Kerr.
As introduced, this bill would have expanded authority to engage in master contracting to all executive branch procurement units. The amendments on page 12 in your packet adopted in Government Operations Subcommittee strike the provisions relating to master contracting from the bill and instead authorize a procurement officer to award an indefinite quantity contract under certain circumstances, specifies requirements for indefinite quantity contracts, and requires the Board of Public Works to adopt regulations establishing methods of assigning work under an indefinite quantity contract.
Okay. Delegate Kerr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank Lindsay for working so closely with Delegate Tomlinson
Lindsay.
to work this bill out. And it was amended with the help of DGS, and the amendments were adopted and the bill moved out of subcommittee unanimously. I'll move the amendments.
Second.
The amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or concerns on the amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? On the bill as amended. The bill has been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, who does not want to be on this bill? Is favorable with amendment? Who does not want to do it? All right. House Bill 664, Health Occupations License Direct Entry Midwives. It is favorable. Lindsay and Rosenberg.
This bill clarifies the actions that the State Board of Nursing may take if an applicant to practice direct entry midwifery or a licensed direct entry midwife violates a ground for discipline. The board may deny or grant a license, including a license subject to a reprimand, probation, or suspension to any applicant, reprimand a licensee, place a licensee on probation, or suspend or revoke the license of a licensee. No amendments. It was in Health Occupation Subcommittee.
Thank you, Lindsay. Delegate Rosenberg.
This was favorable by the committee as introduced. So no debate. I would move favorable.
All right, so the bill has been moved. Is there a second? Moved in second. Any questions or concerns on the bill?
Madam Chair?
Delegate, one second. Delegate Shalega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to know if our midwife on the committee, Nick Kipke, has any opinions on this.
I actually operated without a license.
And for the new delegate, Delegate Ross,
You see my mind trying
Delegate
to figure out what this is?
Kipke delivered his own child.
Really?
It was an emergency. He did it himself.
Oh, wow. Right.
Well, so Kipke, are we good on this? Did you check with your people? Thank you.
All right. So all those in favor say, oh, no, Delegate Collison, Vice Chair Collison.
That's fine. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say that because there are other midwife bills out there, this bill actually codifies the disciplinary actions that apply to all the other professions overseen by the nursing board. Those were not there before. They are now codifying that they are under the supervision and subject to the same disciplinary actions as every other profession under that board. So just keep that in mind as we consider other bills. Thank you very much.
All right. With that being said, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, let's move on to House Bill 699, Delegate Allen, General Provisions, Veterans Benefits, Honorable Discharge. Favorable with amendment, Lindsay and Kerr.
As introduced, this bill, with respect to any state program of benefits, rights, or privileges applicable to a veteran under Maryland law, would have altered the definition of honorable discharge to include a discharge that is less than honorable based on an incident or incidents relating to a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury or an experience of sexual trauma. The amendments that I failed to write down what page they're on, they're somewhere in your packet. Rather than specifying the specific incidents that qualify as honorable discharge, it includes any upgrade based on federal criteria as determined by the Department of Veterans and Military Families.
All right, so Kerr.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
The amendments were adopted unanimously, and the bill moved unanimously. I move the amendments.
The amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or discussions? Seeing none on the amendments, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none on the bill? The bill has been moved as amended. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Who does not want to be on the bill? All right. So let's move on to House Bill 723, Delegate Kerr, State Board of Dental Examiners, applicants licensed or certified in another state. It came out favorable. Lindsay and Rosenberg. Lindsay.
This bill requires the State Board of Dental Examiners to issue a license to a dentist or dental hygienist licensed in another state within 15 business days after receiving the applicant's completed application if the applicant otherwise meets the requirements for licensure. The bill also specifies the requirements for a dental radiation technologist authorized to practice in another state must meet to qualify for a certificate from the board. If an applicant for a dental radiation technologist certificate authorized to practice in another state meets the requirements for certification, then the board must issue the certificate within 15 business days after receiving the completed application. The board may adopt regulations necessary to provide for the certification of individuals to practice as a dental radiation technologist in another state. There were no amendments.
Okay. Rosenberg.
There was no debate. The parties had reached agreement on the bill as introduced. Move the bill.
Was it unanimous?
Yes.
Okay. The bill has been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, let's move on to House Bill 783, Health Occupation Structural Racism Training. It came out favorable with amendment, and the analyst is Aaron, and Bagnall is the subcommittee chair.
The bill expands the scope of required training for individuals licensed or certified by a health occupations board to include implicit bias and structural racism. Applicants for the renewal of a license or certificate issued by a health occupations board must attest to the completion of an improved implicit bias and structural racism training program the first time they renew their license or certificate after April 1st, 2026. The Cultural and Linguistic Healthcare Competency Program, in coordination with the Office of Minority Health and Health Disparities, must identify and approve implicit bias and structural racism training programs. There are amendments on page 18 of your packet that were adopted in the Public Health and Minority Health Disparities Subcommittee. The amendments alter the definition of structural racism to be the totality of ways in which societies foster racial discrimination by mutually reinforcing systems of housing, education, employment, earnings, benefits, credit, media, healthcare, and criminal justice. The amendments authorize the training programs to be accredited by the Accreditation Council for Pharmacy Education and authorize each health occupations board to adopt regulations that allow an applicant seeking license renewal to receive continuing education credits for completing an implicit bias and structural racism training program. The amendments also provide that it is the intent of the General Assembly that the structural racism training required under the bill be developed and offered with the grant money provided to the Maryland Nurses Association from the Maryland Nurses Association from the American Nurses Association to advance anti-racism efforts.
Okay, Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a robust discussion on this. It was spirited and then interrupted by an unfortunate road rage incident. It did move out of subcommittee, not unanimous. And with that, I would move the amendments.
So the amendments have been moved and second. Any questions or concerns on the amendment? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition to the amendments? All right. And seeing none on the bill. The bill has been moved and second as amended. Any questions or concerns? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition, can you raise your hand? Delegate Shilega, Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, and Delegate Kipke. And I did not dream that last night. House Bill 790. Oh, who does not want to be on the bill? Now I'm going to dream it. Delegate Shilega, Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, Delegate Kipke. Okay. House Bill 798, Opioid Restitution Fund Interactive Dashboard, favorable with amendment. It was Aaron and Bagnall. Aaron.
The bill requires the Maryland Office of Overdose Response, in collaboration with the Department of Health, to develop and maintain an interactive dashboard on opioid restitution fund spending to share prescription opioid-related settlement information with the public. A county or municipality that receives settlement funds must provide MDH with specified information to include on the dashboard, and the department must establish an online portal for a county or municipality to report or upload information. To the extent possible, the dashboard must use existing platforms that provide data on opioid use and overdoses in the state. There are amendments on page 20 that were adopted in Public Health and Minority Health Disparities Subcommittee. The amendments provide that if there is a state, county, or municipal website that provides access to additional information on the use of opioid-related settlements, that website must include a link to the state, county, or I'm sorry, the dashboard must include a link to the state, county, or municipal website. The amendments also provide that the department must upload opioid-related settlement information submitted to the department by a county or municipality in compliance with the terms of an opioid-related settlement.
Delegate Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was a bill that we held while the sponsor was working with MACO. Ultimately, they agreed to the amendments, and it passed unanimously from subcommittee. I would move the amendments.
The amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or concerns regarding them? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition to the amendments? On the bill? The bill has been moved as amendment. Any question or discussion on the bill? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right. Who does not want to be on the bill? Okay. Let's move on to House Bill 933, Delegate Martinez, Nursing Homes Direct Care Wages and Benefits and Cost Reports. It came out favorable with amendment. It is Lisa and Rosenberg. Lisa.
There's an amendment on page 22 of your packet, and with that amendment, the bill requires the Maryland Department of Health to review cost reports and data submitted by nursing homes that participate in Medicaid, including data related to revenues allocated to specified professions, and report its findings each year by October 1st through 2029.
Okay, and this is Rosenberg?
Yes. There was discussion of additional language, not specific amendment, but broadening the study as proposed by legal aid, but the bill moved forward without any additional amendments to those that had been worked out in advance. So it was favorable with amendment. It would move the amendments.
Second. So the amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or concerns on the amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none on the bill. The bill has been moved in second as amended. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, who does not? Oh, opposition? On the bill, yeah. Opposition, I have Shalega, Chisholm, Morgan, Riley, Hutchinson, and Kipke. For a minute there, I thought I saw Gazzoni. You did too, right? I swear I did. That's why I was like, that's why you saw me pause for a minute. Oh, no, you could do it. Okay, let's go to House Bill 9. Oh, the sponsor, who does not want to be on the bill? Shalega, Chisholm, Morgan, Riley, Hutchinson, and Kipke. All right, House Bill 996, Delegate Mandari, Public Health. How do you pronounce that? Fenibut? Consumer Protection Act. I am glad I don't have that on the floor. Favorable with amendment, it is Erin and Bagno. Erin.
The bill requires a retailer that prepares, distributes, sells, or exposes for sale a Phenibut product to disclose on the product label the factual basis on which the representation is made. A retailer is prohibited from preparing, distributing, selling, or exposing for sale a Phenibut product that does not comply with the specified disclosure, has not been recognized by the FDA as a dietary ingredient or approved drug, or that is adulterated with, contaminated with, or contains other substances, and is also prohibited from distributing, selling, or exposing for sale a Phenibut product to an individual younger than age 21. A violator is guilty of a misdemeanor and also subject to a criminal penalty. A retailer may not advertise or market a Phenibut product to minors, directly or indirectly, and may not advertise a therapeutic benefit of Phenibut directly or indirectly. There are amendments on page 24 that were adopted in Public Health and Minority Health Disparities Subcommittee that changed the title of the bill to the J.T. Alvey Phenibut Consumer Protection Act, and also strike the reporting requirement that was in the bill as introduced.
All right, Bagnell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was actually a very moving discussion. Mr. Alvey did come to the subcommittee and was very appreciative that we were taking these actions. Just for the benefit of the committee, this is in the same posture as Kratom, other than we removed the reporting requirement. Because we worked with the department, these are ingredients that are very hard to regulate. They're existing in this unregulated space. So during the interim, we're going to work on a more comprehensive bill to address this growing market. And with that, I would move the amendments.
Second.
So the amendments have been moved in second. Any questions on the amendments or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none on the bill. The bill has been moved as amended. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, who does not want to be on the bill? And I want to thank you for the work you have done on these type of bills, okay? It's making a difference and saving lives. House Bill 1069, Delegate Warman. Is this your first baby? All right. It's always hard to deliver that first one, right? So we have life and health insurance policies and annuity contracts, discretionary clauses, prohibition, favorable with amendment. Lisa and Collison.
This bill prohibits carriers from selling, delivering, or issuing a health insurance policy, a life insurance policy, or an annuity contract that contains a clause that purports to reserve sole discretion to the carrier to interpret the terms of the policy or to provide standards of interpretation or review that are inconsistent with the laws of the state. There's an amendment on page 25 of your packet, and the amendment adds HMO contracts to the list of policies and contracts prohibited from containing discretionary clauses.
Vice Chair Collison.
So this is our feel-good bill. The amendment was unanimous, as was the bill as amended. Move the amendment.
Second.
The amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition on the bill as amended?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns on the bill as amended? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, you got it. So it is favorable with amendment. Who does not want to be on the bill? Okay, all right. And can I tell you guys, your vice chair is not as nice as she looks. Guess what? I told her about a bill that I don't want to have on the floor, and she says, that can be arranged. The opposite, like she will make me take it to the floor, okay? Anyway, House Bill 1104, which is the last one. It is Maryland Department of Health, ahead model implementation, electronic healthcare transactions and population health improvement fund. Now, this was a long labor. Okay? It came out favorable with amendment. Aaron and Kerr. Aaron.
This is a departmental bill that establishes the Population Health Improvement Fund to support statewide population health targets under the AHEAD model and any successor models. Each year, the HSCRC may assess a uniform, broad-based, and reasonable amount in hospital rates to be credited to the fund, which may only be used for statewide population health improvement initiatives. Electronic healthcare transaction information may be used to support the state's participation in the AHEAD model and any successor models. There are amendments on page 26 that were adopted in Government Operations and Health Facility Subcommittee. The amendments clarify that each year of the total cost of care model, the AHEAD model, or any successor model, the HSCRC may assess a uniform, broad-based, and reasonable amount on hospital rates to be credited to the fund. The amendments require the Commission to include the full amount of the assessment in the hospital rates, and that funds generated from the assessment may only be used for certain expenses. And those expenses include, I know, here it comes. expenses associated with statewide population health improvement initiatives in alignment with the statewide health equity plan. Activities paid for by the fund must support the goal of meeting the statewide population health targets that are outlined in the AHEAD model state agreement with CMS and have at least one of the following functions: reducing rates of common preventable health conditions, addressing health-related social needs, or reducing or eliminating health disparities. The amended bill also has a reporting requirement that on or before July 1st, 2026, and each July 1st thereafter, the department must report to the General Assembly that reflects the required elements of the annual progress the report must reflect the required elements of the annual progress report as outlined in the state agreement and shall include measures of effectiveness for funded programs, targeted populations, impact on health outcomes and health disparities, and relevant components from the hospital required reporting to the HSCRC on population health improvement efforts. The report must also include an accounting of all sources of funding accepted for the benefit of the fund and the amount of funding from each source. And then finally, the amendments will sunset the fund portion of the bill in 5.5 years. So as of January 1st, 2032. And that's because the bill takes effect July 1st, 2026.
Thank you, Erin. As you know, this bill is really important. We just signed, right, with CMS an agreement to do the AHEAD model, right, for at least the next 10 years or so. So this is an important bill. This fund is a requirement of CMS, of the contract that has to be established. Afterwards, I want to say something because this was a lot of work. But Delegate Kerr, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The MHA and MDH reached agreement. The agreements are reflected in Erin's amendments that she just explained. We adopted the amendments and moved the bill. The vote was not unanimous.
Okay.
I'll move the amendments.
Second.
So the amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or concerns on the amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, on the bill as amended.
Second.
The bill has been moved as amended. Any questions or concerns on the bill as amended? Delegate Hutchinson.
Yeah, I just didn't hear Delegate Kerr correctly in terms of MHA's final position.
They both expressed publicly that they were in agreement, MHA and MDH.
Support, both from them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or concerns on the bill as amended? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Delegate Shilega, Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Riley, Delegate Kipke. All right. I know that MHA and the hospital, the department are both watching. This took, how many weeks did it take? What will you say, how many weeks it took to get this through this?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Like at least, it took at least 4 weeks or so of conversation or more. And I know I have held many meetings. So this was a lot of work. I hope and pray that when it goes across the street, and I have a lot of respect for the Committee of Jurisdiction and the chair, that both the department and MHA can represent what they represented here, that there's agreement and they worked it out, because we spend so much time on it, okay? And I hope it's a good product, everyone is on board, and I hope that it can get through without any more time spent on it, because it's been negotiated here already. Anyway, with a lot of respect, I say that. That being said, we voted on it, right? And we are done with the bills for voting. We're going to go down for a minute, and we're going to do the assignments on the floor, and then we're going to, to the last bill. It's a departmental one. You cannot. But it's a good question, though. It's a good bill. So in any event, let's go down, please.